Alright, let's try this again. In today's video, I'm going to share with you how to make $18 to $24 per hour. Yo, what is going on guys? Paul James here, and I literally just had to re-record my entire intro because I had the microphone not attached to my camera. Anyways, it happens. It's just another day in the life of an entrepreneur, of a YouTuber, but we'll press on, we'll move forward. Anyways, I'm excited you're here today, and if you're excited to learn about this method, which I think is pretty simple, to be able to make $18 to $24 per hour with it, do me a favor and smash that like button for me. Now, this method revolves all around creating registration forms. We're going to be creating registration forms, and that is how we're going to achieve this $18 to $24 per hour. Now, if you're new here, I do a lot of step-by-step tutorials just like this one on my channel. And I also talk about entrepreneurship in business. It would mean a lot to me if you'd hit the subscribe button. And also, if you want me to reply back to you and read your comment, if you comment on my video saying I've subscribed, I'll actually go back through the comment section and I will reply back to you, welcoming you to the channel, because I'm so excited that you're here and that you're a part of it. Alright guys, so let's go hop on the computer right now and break down this method step by step. Alright guys, so what I'm actually doing in this video is I'm building out a brand new webinar registration page. Now, for those of you who don't know, a lot of business owners out there are doing webinars. They're using them to educate their customers, to do sales presentations, to train, all kinds of different uses for it. But the bottom line is there are people out there who need pages for registrations created, and I'm going to share with you in this video how to actually create that. I went on UpWork and I looked, and there's been quite a few people hiring for this. You can see one right here, seeking designer developer to create webinar registration. For 30 hours a week, and you can see their average hire rate right here is $17.86, so about $18 per hour. So 18 times 30, that's over $500 to create this webinar registration page. Another one right here, looking for opt-in page creator for my webinar registration. Again, another 30 hours. This one's paying almost $23.74, so almost 24 bucks an hour. So 24 times 30, that's over $700 on that one. There's another one right here. Need a landing page built for webinar registration. Another one, you can see that these people are hiring. This one has spent over $1,000 hiring people. So the software that I'm going to use to pull this off is a plugin called Optimize Press. The reason why I like Optimize Press is because you can actually install it as a plugin on your client site or your site to create these webinar registration pages, and it doesn't impact whatever other theme that they have installed on the site. I also like using the plugin because then you don't have to host your registration form on a third-party builder like ClickFunnels or Lead Pages or anything like that. So I just prefer to use Optimize Press when I'm doing stuff like this for my registration pages. So this is the new webinar that I'm doing. I've got my slide deck ready for it. I'm calling it How to Use Systems and Outsourcers to Land Your Next $1,000 a Month Client. So I need to create a webinar registration page for that webinar slide so that I can drive my customers to this webinar registration page and let them know about the webinar when it's happening. So I figured I'd document the process of creating it so that you can go out there and you can get hired by people like myself who need help with creating webinar registration pages, because there's people out there looking for it. So I'm going to be using a software to run a webinar called GoToWebinar. So the first step that I actually need to do is I need to go ahead and I need to create and schedule the webinar in here. So I'm going to go ahead and schedule the webinar. And again, we've got the name for it. I'm just going to copy and paste it. I'm just going to keep it simple for now. I may come in here and tweak this stuff, but for now I'm just putting in the title and putting in a short description. So I need to set the date. I'm going to be running this one next Wednesday, and we're going to start it at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, so our webinar is all set up. Now you may be thinking to yourself, Paul, why don't you just use the built-in registration page that GoToWebinar gives you? So let's go actually and look at that, and I'll explain to you why. This is what it looks like. Not a very good capture page. This isn't going to get a high conversion rate. So I just prefer to create my own that's going to get a higher conversion rate. And that's where the WordPress plugin comes into play. So I'm going to come over to my Optimize Press plugin here. I'm going to hit create a new page. And they have templates actually built in for webinar pages. So if we scroll down here, we can actually look at all the different pages that they kind of have available for us. And we can decide which one we want to go with. So I'm going to go with this one called Action Webinar Registration Page. and I'm going to hit use this template, and I'm just going to name it something Outsourcers and Systems Webinar. I just want to keep the URL somewhat short. All right, so we can go ahead and create that page. All right, so let's get started with actually modifying the webinar registration page. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the title of the webinar. All right, so there it is, how to use systems and outsourcers to land your next $1,000 a month client. So we'll go ahead and insert that. I'm going to actually delete this. Well, I'm going to move this down here and use this as a subheadline. And I'm probably going to reformat this a little bit as well. I'm not sure I really like it bold. I'm going to try doing this thin font and see what that looks like. Not really a big fan of that either. Let's try regular. All right, maybe I'll just make it a little bit smaller. Just go with like a 46 pixel on it and try that up. All right, that looks a little bit better. And I'm going to put in a subheadline. The subheadline of my webinar is even if you're starting out with no credibility. Because in my webinar, I teach people how to build credibility even if they're a beginner. And that's kind of like one of the unique hooks of my webinar. So there we go. I'm going to want to swap out this headshot. I always like to save my changes too, because sometimes, you know, you'll have something happen where you accidentally click off of the web browser and then you lose all of your work that you did, and that's no fun. So make sure you always hit this save and continue button here every once in a while. All right, so I need to find a headshot image of myself. I think that I already have one in here. So I'm going to go ahead and just select the file and see if I can find it. All right, yep, so I found one of my headshots here. So I'm just going to go ahead and insert that in there. And let's see what it looks like. All right, cool. All right, so let's save that. I'm going to go and hit View Public Link because I want to see what this looks like without the editor in there. All right, so I think it's looking pretty good so far. How to use systems and outsources to land your next $1,000 a month client. Even you're starting with no credibility. So we need to start swapping out some of this stuff now. This stuff that says exclusive one-time only event, and we've got some stuff down here. So I'm going to put something here like space is extremely limited. Register now to guarantee your spot. Okay, so that looks good. I'm going to delete the timer. I don't really want that on there. Okay. We'll save that. We're going to get to the opt-in box, but I just want to finish off the copy of the whole here's what you'll discover during this live webinar first. So let's just go ahead and edit some of these. All right, so there we go. How to implement systems to land 10 to 20 new SEO clients that will pay you high ticket monthly fees. All right, next one, a step-by-step guide to getting results for your new clients and how to keep them paying you month after month. And we're probably going to do one more. Okay, number 3, my secret weapon for automating your business with outsources so that your business runs without you present. So I'm going to delete 4 and 5. I don't really need those. This webinar really has 3 major breakthroughs that I want my audience to learn. So we're going to go ahead and save that. All right, so I've got a little biography that I'm going to put down here under the About Me. Obviously, I'm going to put my headshot back in there. Let's go find that. All right, there it is. We're going to insert it into the post. And I'm going to change this to presenter Paul James and put in my biography. Okay, so I put in my little biography there, and I'm going to insert that. We're going to see what that looks like. I think it looks pretty good. I'm going to mess with the spacing a little bit. Okay, so I just kind of shortened up the paragraphs a little bit. I think it looks a little bit better that way, but we'll see. We'll save that, and let's look at the view of it without the builder on. Yeah, so that looks good. We got to get rid of this timer. Okay. Now, with Optimize Press, one of the cool things is if I go back to my WordPress dashboard, we can come under the Optimize Press dashboard, and under email marketing services, you're going to find a GoToWebinar integration. And there's information here. You click this help button. It's basically going to instruct you on how to find your GoToWebinar API key or your client's GoToWebinar API key if you're setting this up for a client. And it will basically sync your OptimizePress WordPress account with your GoToWebinar account. So anytime someone registers on your page that you just created, it will automatically send them to be automatically registered for this GoToWebinar page, which is going to bypass this crappy registration page and use the sleeker, high converting page that we just designed. So let me show you how to set that up. So we're going to need to click on each one of these buttons. We're going to have to do this twice because there's 2 buttons on this page. So let's hit the edit on there. So basically this is going to be a pop-up that pops up when they click the button, and this is what the pop-up looks like right now. I don't want this, it's free, join me January 1st thing there. I'm just going to get rid of that. Everything else looks good though. So let's hit the edit button on the form and let's tell OptimizePress exactly what we want to do. So we want to integrate with GoToWebinar, and we're going to pick the webinar that we want to use. So I have 2 webinars currently in my account set up, so I'm just selecting which one it is. The other thing I like to do is I like to reorder the name and email field, because by default it's showing the email first and then the name, which I think is kind of backwards. I usually like to ask for the person's name first and then the email. So I'm going to just leave name as 0 because 0 comes first and email as 1. And then there is something else we're going to want to do. We're going to want to come back in here and put in a redirect URL. This is the page that they're going to land on after they register for the webinar. So it's like a thank you page saying thank you for registering. We don't have that page created yet, so we'll have to come back in here and add that in. But for now, let's hit insert on that, and let's hit update right here. And we'll hit save, and then we're going to do that one more time for the second button, since there's 2 buttons. So let's hit edit on this one, and we're going to integrate GoToWebinar, and we're going to, as soon as it loads, we're going to select our webinar here. Okay, so let's save that and continue, and let's go create our thank you page. So we're going to come into OptimizePress, we're going to create a new page right here. And we're just going to use a blank page for this since it's just a thank you page. So we'll hit use this template, and we'll call this systems webinar thank you. So take note of whatever you call this page so that you can set it up as the thank you page. So we'll hit create page, and we're going to add a new row, and we just want this row to be one single column, meaning it's going to span across the whole site. And we're going to add an element to the row. And the element I'm looking for is called a headline element, which is just what it sounds like. It's just going to be a headline. So I'm just going to say thank you for registering. Hit insert. And then I want to put a bit of a paragraph underneath that explaining that they're going to receive an email with the registration link to view the webinar. And I also want to give them further instructions, because sometimes with GoToWebinar, the email won't get delivered. And if it doesn't get delivered, I want to give them instructions on how to access the webinar. So let's add a paragraph element or a text element. It's this one, text block. We're just going to say, you should receive your invitation. However, if you don't see it, you can simply visit joinwebinar.com and use the code at the time of webinar. All right. So there we have it. We're going to insert that, and that's our thank you page. We can make sure this is set for publish and hit save and close. Okay, so let's go back into both of these opt-in forms and add that in. So right here where it says redirect URL, I'm just going to put that in, and then I'm going to hit insert. All right, done. And let's do it on the top one. Simple, right? This is really straightforward. We're ready to publish this page now. Okay, so there is our webinar page all set up. It looks good. It's going to convert great. I've used this page before. It converts awesome. Pretty much all the OptimizePress templates are going to convert awesome. So if you find someone who's looking to hire you to increase their conversions, that's a job that you can feel comfortable taking on, because these pages are definitely going to increase conversions. They just work incredibly well. So let's test it out. Let's hit the pop-up. Let's enter in the first name and email address and click reserve my spot. And there we go. Everything worked. We got redirected to the thank you page. And if we check our webinar registrants, you'll notice that now we have one person actually registered for the webinar. That's it, guys.
Alright guys, there you have it. That is the method. That is how you make $18 to $24 per hour. Now realistically, you could probably get somewhere between $300 to $500, maybe even $700 per landing page that you create. You can use this to create a lot of other landing pages. Webinar registration page is just something that I used in this video. Oh, by the way, if you're curious why I created this webinar registration page and what this is all about, obviously it's for my new webinar, which I shared about in the video. But if you want to attend that webinar and check it out, I'll leave a link in the description of this video to attend that. It's free to attend, and you're going to walk away with some killer actionable information if you're at all curious about scaling your business and using outsourcers to actually run your business so that you can step away from it and be hands-off. Then I encourage you to attend this webinar. It's going to be killer. But anyways, guys, now you know how to do it. I hope that it was helpful. Again, if you liked it, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and have notifications turned on so that you get notified of all new videos when I release them. But until next time, guys, I am Paul James. We'll see you in the next video. Peace out.
You